Welcome back to the garden on yet another beautiful spring morning. The sun is trying to shine and the birds are singing. And what I want to do today, I've got a lovely day off from work, so I'm going to make the most of that day and I'm going to go around the garden and just look at some of the ferns. Now at this time of year, some of the old fronds are looking a little bit tired. So it's time now just to give them a little bit of a refresh. Trim all the old fronds off, and I have noticed that there's some new growth coming in the centres. So that's what I'm going to start with today, and then I'm going to go around the garden and maybe tidy up some of the palms that I've got growing here. So join me and let's get started with some of the spring garden jobs. So it's definitely not the warmest today when that sun goes behind the clouds. But what I want to do today is just to tidy up this area of the garden. I'm not going to remove all the fronds, I don't think. I'll see how they are, because I know this area then is going to look really bare. But I do need to give it a little bit of a tidy up. And I've also got some ferns in this area underneath the tree fern. So I'm going to get out my secateurs, finish my coffee first and then get cracking. So I'm going to finish my coffee. So if we just look now inside, you can see that in there's plenty of new fronds just waiting to push out. So I've just opened up now the centre of this fern there. And you can see all them little bumps inside. They're all the new fronds waiting. So the old fronds, really, a lot of these are just sort of snapped over and pulling away now. So I'm going to get my secateurs and trim them off. Right, so I'm going to get right in here and be very careful when I'm trimming back not to damage the new fronds. So I'm just really using the very top of the secateurs just to get in there and be as careful as I can. And this particular fern is a heart's tongue fern, so it does stay evergreen in my garden, but it just gets a little bit untidy. So we'll just trim all that old foliage away. So sometimes the old fronds can help just to protect the new growth, but I think the very cold weather now is over. At least in South Wales. So when I've finished now trimming this off, I'll just give it a layer of new compost around the base of the fern, just to give it some lovely nutrients. So you can see that now. Much better. Again, most of these are just pulling away. And I think sometimes it's easier just to pull them out rather than cut them. It's lovely to see the new growth come in. And I'll just leave, I think, some of the old foliage in there just to protect the new growth. take some of it away, just to keep it a little bit tidier. Just leaving some behind. So the one there at the very back, that one is a deciduous fern, and that one always dies back. So it's time to take them brown fronds off there, ready for the new growth. So I do try my best not to nip at any of the new growth coming through. But sometimes you just can't help the odd one or two. And there's more and more coming off these ferns all the time. But they are going to thank me for it. So there's also a lovely fern here just overhanging the wildlife pond. So I'm not going to take too much of this one off. Just any of the fronds really that are browning. This one seems quite healthy. So I don't want it to look too bare in this area. So I think I'll just leave most of these ones on. There's a few little brown ones at the bottom. So we'll take them off. There's plenty of new fronds in there. And this one here by the wildlife pond always stays lovely and moist. So that one's a little bit brown on the end. Let's take that one off. Maybe the ones that are hanging in the water. Lovely, that'll be enough on there, I think. Just give this soil then a little bit of a mix. So I also want to go around some of the palm trees, and this is a Waggie here. And you can see that I've done 2 already, and I just want to trim back these old leaf stems with a pair of secateurs just to make it look a little bit neater. But I saw Yorkshire Chris doing his and thought it did look a lot neater. Than having old bits of leaf stalk sticking out the bottom. So I'm going to go around and do most of my palms. And while I'm there, I can just check and see how they are coming along. I don't think there's any problems with this one. Lovely new growth coming out there in the centre. Now we are quite lucky where we live, and we have managed to keep a Washingtonia palm alive now for a few seasons. This has been in the ground, I think, for about 2 years. So I'm just going to Just nip off any tatty leaves. Take that one off there, and you can see that there's a nice new leaf coming there. And I'm going to take that one off as well. Just tidy them up. If I can get through them. Yes. That's tidy up. And also a few little damaged leaves that need to come off, like that one there. And this palm tree was hidden for years in amongst the foliage. It's only small, but it's growing well now. So just trim those bits off. So all of these lovely ferns now have been cut back, ready for the new growth to start. And I've topped up all the compost. And everything's looking good now, just waiting for them to grow. So I'm just going to give these ferns now a little bit of a water. And I've got in here some liquid seaweed, which is ideal. So they've had a lovely fresh sprinkling of compost, a trim back and a feed. So hopefully these ferns now are going to grow absolutely wonderful this season. And trimming back the leaves now on the Washingtonia. You can see that they are looking quite healthy. And it's been out all winter, and it's quite protected here in the garden, as we've got lots of plants surrounding it, and the garden is protected with high walls. So you can also see now, if I just move along the garden, that the Waggie that we've got at the bottom has had a little trim of the stem, and that's doing really well. So looking now at the base of the palm trees, they do look a lot neater with a little bit of a trim back. And I've also done the large one on this side here. So it'll soon be time now to get out the chicken manure pellets and start giving them a feed. And this one here is my favourite one in the garden. And that's had a little trim too. And luckily there's not an awful lot on the leaves to trim back there. Nothing at all on this one, as it's looking in fantastic health. The leaves are absolutely huge. It's a beautiful specimen, this, of a Trachycarpus Fortunei. Not the biggest in the garden, but this one is definitely the healthiest, as I've said before. And it's a wonderful palm tree, this. And I also noticed when I was down the bottom of the garden that the bamboo is now starting to push up new fronds. But it is looking a little bit dry. So I'm going to give this a good drench, also with some liquid seaweed, and try and give it the nutrition that it needs. And I'll give a little bit as well to the Washingtonia while I'm here. So the clocks are going forward this weekend, which to me symbolises definitely the start of springtime. And I can't wait for the season ahead. Hopefully everything is going to grow wonderful this year. And after a little trim of the Washingtonia and a good water, it's surprising how much better that looks already. So spring really is a wonderful time of year. It's lovely to see all the new plants just coming back into life again after the sleepy winter. And so it's also an ideal time just to have a look around your garden, just to see how the plants have done throughout the winter months, and anything that might need moving or trimming back. Now is an ideal time to get this done before the weather starts getting too warm in the season. So I hope you've enjoyed watching today how I just look after my ferns in the garden, and it does look now a lot tidier than what it did before. So thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe. I really do love to hear from you, and subscribing really does help the channel to grow. And until next time, I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.